Well, hey, diet disruptors, Coach Carrie here, and today I am joined with Coach Shannon. Shannon, say hi to everyone.
Disruptors. Great to have you with us today.
I am so excited, not only because Coach Shannon is here with me, and because we have a whole new topic on live with Disruptive Nutrition right now, but also this episode is going to start our live with Disruptive Nutrition being produced on our podcast. So I'm very excited about that. As I'm talking, I have like things going off, phones going off, and I'm trying to bring it down a little. So yeah, so we are actually going to put these episodes into our podcast because we realize there's so much value in them. There's so much we're teaching, and I'd love for people to be able to listen along for those that are subscribed to the podcast. So if you are listening from the podcast, or if you haven't been to our podcast yet, or if you haven't been there in a while, go check it out. It is filled with all sorts of great teaching and value about the approach that we hold near and dear to our hearts. So Shannon, all this month, we are going to talk about the theme of sustainability. What are the, when we describe our approach, we talk about it being simple,
Satisfying.
sustainable, satisfying, and sustainable, right? And so we're going to dig
Simple.
into that.
Yeah, well, I think just because it's simple, because it's satisfying, it makes it sustainable, right?
I mean, honestly, that's a really good point, because if it wasn't simple, right? And if it wasn't something that felt good, that if you felt deprived, you would feel like you're on a diet and you're not going to do it forever, right?
Yeah.
Like that is so important. So today, this week, we are going to talk about 3 questions that I always tell people they need to ask before they jump into any approach that they use, because this litmus test, these 3 questions, will truly help you decide if what you're doing is going to be sustainable. And our bodies want consistency. I mean, think about it. Like the trust that you have with your husband. I know your husband, Dan, and you trust him. And that is, even though he's a pain in the neck sometimes, but you trust him. And it's because of a consistent message he has sent to you over the, gosh, how long have you been married?
20.
20 years. Over those 20 years, you have built that trust. But God forbid anything happened that he broke that trust, that 20 years of trust would be very hard to build back if he did something that kind of was distrustful. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's like our bodies. How long have we been distrustful with our bodies? How long have we been inconsistent with our approach? And as a result, our bodies don't believe us when we start a new diet or when we start something new. And depending on how long we've been inconsistent with it is going to really determine how much progress we make. But when we do right by our body will do right by us. Would you agree, Shannon?
Absolutely.
It,
I just went dark, so sorry about that. My light just went out, and
well, you know
of
what? For
course,
those of you listening on the podcast, that doesn't even matter. But I am drinking my tea, so you may hear me slurping my tea a little bit. So, are you drinking your tea too? Do you have tea today, this morning? Yeah,
a fizz stick. Yep, I'm having a fizz.
I am too.
Already had my tea.
My squad cup with my detox tea and my fizz.
I
That's how
love it.
I start my day. Okay, so let's get into these 3 questions. So I talk about this a lot, but I always try to have like a little bit of a different spin on it. And I think, Shannon, you being here today is really awesome because you live this lifestyle in such a sustainable way because you involve your family in it. And I think that's one of the keys to what we're going to talk about today. So let's talk about what that first question is. Shannon, what is that first question that we know we need to answer before we do anything?
Is it based on science?
So say more about that.
Well, if you're going to, do something that for your nutrition, your health and nutrition, which affects you inside out, right? You want to make sure that it's based on science. Like, has it been tested? Does it work?
Do you know that I heard once about a soy sauce diet?
No. Please tell me no.
Ah, so not, I mean,
Heard about
and the crazy thing is you could actually almost argue that it was based in science because it's absolutely based in science that would never work, that would cause so much more issues, right?
yes.
But when I think about science, like I do think about things like keto or intermittent fasting, and those are based in science. But what's also really important when we look at the scientific aspect of it is what does it do to our bodies? There's a science piece of it. When we fast, our body actually has to pull from nutrients in our muscles. That's scientific,
Yes.
but no good.
Right. And, keto and intermittent fasting, those seem to be really popular these days. And we've probably all, in the past, maybe tried some of those out a little bit, and they do work short term. But then when you really start to think long term and what your body needs and how it's going to affect you in the future, when you dig that deep, they're just not good for you in the long term.
It's not even comparable, right? And so there are certain paradigms, there are certain principles about nutrition that we know are true. When we talk about like advances in nutrition and things like that, we understand more about the types of foods and what foods can do for us, which foods are anti-inflammatory, which foods are better for our gut. But at the end of the day, there are tried principles that science it does not prove wrong. Every single time. We need the right nutrients and the right frequency and the right portions. And when we do that, when we fuel our body correctly, our bodies will do for us what we want it to do. It will get us to our optimal health. Well, it will be part of the puzzle of getting us to our optimal health, right? The foundational piece of that, right? And so what we teach and let's be honest, like we teach PFC every 3, right? Eating in threes, eating a protein, fat, and carb every 3 hours. That is based in science. It is a part of what we teach because there are multiple aspects of our health and wellness that need to come together like a beautiful puzzle. But at the foundation of it is eating clean food and eating the right balance of proteins, fats, and carbs. I mean, Shannon, what is proteins, fats, and carbs? They're a certain type of nutrient, right?
We need our macronutrients. We need them. That's why they were created, right? When you look at whole foods, all 3 of those were created in whole foods, clean whole foods.
And I think about the fact that you just used the word macro. People use the word, I'm counting my macros. What they're really meaning is they're counting the proteins, fats, and carbs. And man has kind of decided how many proteins we should have in a day. But our body isn't actually based on that. Our body is based on our activity and how much we need based on what we're doing. So there's not necessarily a macro for the day. It doesn't even make quite a lot of sense because our entire body wants to be blood sugar balanced. And if you were just counting your macros for the day, you're totally eliminating the science that your body needs to have its blood sugar balanced. And so if you know that you need those macronutrients every time you eat, all 3 of them, then you are giving your body what it needs. The word macro is so important. That's why the keto thing doesn't make sense to me. We're just going to eliminate a macro, an entire nutrient that actually our bodies need.
Yeah. For fuel throughout the day. Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about the second question, because this really speaks to our theme of sustainability.
Oh, absolutely. Can you do it for the rest of your life? Is this something, the way that you're eating, something that you can do for the rest of your life? Meaning, is it sustainable long term? Mm-hmm. And our approach, absolutely 100% is.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think you can do this for the rest of your life? I mean, you haven't been doing it as long as I have, right? You've been a coach for a while, but
it's been a year and a half. I've been eating all the foods, but I wasn't eating them in the right balance, right? I wasn't balancing out my macronutrients. So therefore my blood sugar didn't stay stable all the time. So I wasn't seeing the results that I needed, but it's sustainable because you're not deprived. And I have a good example that I thought about today at lunch when I made the boys plates, like for their, I have
Well,
two
actually,
boys.
your second breakfast, if you really think about it, right?
Yeah,
Right.
so it was like a meal. It was time for another meal, and it actually was. It happened to be the boys' second meal of the day, and I went ahead and fixed it while they were finishing up their math lesson. And I looked at it and I thought, this isn't super colorful, even though they had some vegetables and some fruit. But I put on there, they had a tuna salad that I had made. It was a clean tuna salad, meaning the mayonnaise that I used was a clean mayonnaise and that kind of thing. And I had some eggs in there and some pickles and that kind of stuff. So that they had their protein and a little fat was in there. And then I had some cucumbers sliced up. And then I had a few pieces of apple slices. But then I knew we have these, I don't know if you tried them, they're these organic cheddar sun chips. It's like a healthier version of chips. Oh, they're amazing. They're at Costco, but they're organic. You know what sun chips are, right? But they're organic. Well, I knew the boys wanted those. So I put those on there to finish out their PFC. So of course, was it super clean? No, of course not, because I had the chips on there. But my boys were so psyched, right? So little things like that, they're never feeling deprived, but yet they're having apples and cucumbers and tuna salad. But then they had those sun chips, right? So they didn't even think a thing about it, right? They were just happy and loved their lunch, and they saved their sun chips for last because they're like, you always save the best for last, So that just was a reminder to me that you're not deprived, so you're going to constantly do it. Those just anything you can add to it. They want to look few of those chocolate nuggets. You just put them on the plate to finish out the PFCs. So we have treats every day in our house. We never feel deprived.
That's the thing. When you understand food, right? When you understand exactly what proteins and fats and carbs are, it's just a little bit of a puzzle piece. And some people get a little confused at first, but once you know it, and this is an investment, because honestly, it's all about a lifestyle. So you can spend a little bit of time learning it. I love our 4 weeks to wellness lifestyle launch, because we spend those 4 weeks with our clients, truly getting them to understand this. So they don't really need us anymore to learn, to know this. Like, they know this stuff.
And I want to make another point. I think another thing that makes it something that you can do for the rest of your life is it doesn't have to be perfect. Now, I'm sure that all of you diet disruptors have heard us at some point or another talk about the 4 weeks to wellness. Now, during the 4 weeks to wellness, you want to be as close to the exact numbers as you can and as clean as absolutely possible, because you're really trying to clean your gut and see a lot of progress. But once you learn how to, do this lifestyle, you don't have to be perfect at every one of your meals. And I think for me, that is so comforting, because I don't have time to count exact calories, exact, macros and all that. I just don't have time for it. And so the fact that I can just eyeball my meal, it's just perfect. And then I'm satisfied, and
And think about this when it comes to sustainability. If you mess up a meal, or if you decided to have an appreciation meal, which we do once a week, or you didn't get your PFCs totally right, or you just went on a cookie binge, whatever, 3 hours later, you start again. You're never done for the day. How many diets, when you're tracking for the day, are you then like, well, I screwed up. It's 9 o'clock in the morning and I screwed up, so I'm done for the day. You're never done. Your next meal is only 3 to 4 hours away. No guilt.
No guilt.
Full of grace, full of kindness, full of ease. And you can do that for the rest of your life. Really.
Yeah, you can. And you get to eat everything that you love. That's
right. There's never anything that I feel like I can't eat. Never.
Right.
There's just nothing. Right. There's a lot of stuff I don't want anymore.
I was going to say, I'll have to tell you, and I'll use coffee as an example. Because I know during the 4 weeks to wellness, that's one of the things that we eliminate, right? Because of the acidity that comes in it. But I love coffee. I love the smell of it. I love the taste of it. I still do. And so I'll have a cup of coffee, but I can't have more than 1 cup.
Yeah.
If I go into a second cup, if I go get a top, if I go top it off, I'm just like, I will not finish it. I'm like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
This is not serving me. I feel much better off with a detox tea with a half a packet of fizz in there, or just the detox tea, whatever. And so I really can't have more than 1 and truly enjoy it. My body starts to just feel different. once you really get to know your body, you'll understand. Like, it may not make sense to some people, but now that I really know my body, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not feeling good. Why am I having the second cup? And so I just
I
don't
know.
finish it.
And how many clients tell us that all the time? 4 weeks. 4 weeks is all it takes for you to really get to know your body and to know what to do correctly. To me, it is a no-brainer investment in ourselves. But let's go to the third question. So the first one is it based in science. The second one is, can you do it for the rest of your life? And the third one is our favorite, right?
Would you let your kids do it? Would you put your children on this program?
Why is
Absolutely,
that
I
so?
would. And I
Yeah.
did.
Like, right. And I love that. Shannon has twin boys and they live this lifestyle. I have 2 teenage girls and they live this lifestyle. But I think more, there's multiple layers as to why this is so important, right? Because I think that there's a health and nutrition one. There's also a parental one, like a modeling one. I know in raising girls, there are things, this is what I say to my kids all the time. And you and I, Shannon, have lived all over the world. We have moved multiple times. And I remember one time when I was in my kitchen with my girls in one of the many places that we have lived, and there were boxes everywhere. And Ellie, my youngest one, was arguing with Grace, and I kind of went in on a whole teachable moment, right? And I remember Ellie said to me, Mom, why is it always like this? Why do you always have to do these teaching things about just because Grace and I got into a little argument? And I said, Ellie, you see these moving boxes here? It's like me as your mom, I'm given like this empty box to fill throughout the 18 years that I have you in my life. And all of us kind of get a box filled for them as we grow up. And it is my job to fill that box with all the things that one day when you are off on your own and you are unpacking that box, you are responding to people, you're making choices for yourself, that box, those experiences, what's been ingrained in you is going to serve you. And so it is my job to fill your box with the things that you need in life. And so if I am modeling a diet that really focuses on weight on the scale and how I look and my value being in my physical body more than what I am offering to the world, then that is what I'm going to fill in their box to. And I'm very conscious of that. And you have boys. And so is it different when raising boys, or do you still think about the messages you're sending to your boys based on, the modeling and the choices you're making?
Still think about it because I have to admit that I did dabble around and with the keto, like, oh, I'm watching my carbs, low carbs, that kind of thing. And obviously, the boys saw me, right, doing that. And who wants to give up certain things like that are carbs, right? So this works because I don't have to give up anything. Mm-hmm. Do we eat healthier versions of most carbs? Yes. But if we just want those, any carb, we can have it. And so I love it because it is sustainable. My boys can piece together meals on their own. They know, like, I never see them now just have, a cookie or whatever. Mm-hmm. They're going to have some type of protein to go with that cookie. And so therefore their blood sugar is going to stay stable and they're not going to, be irritable, or they're not going to have any major changes in their body. They're going to stay fueled for all the sports, and they're very active boys. So this has worked really well for our entire family. And yes, I would totally have my kids do it. They do it. It's awesome. And the thing that I like to tell people, if children can figure this out, like if it's easy enough for my boys to wrap their head around the PFC every 3, then anybody can do it, right? That tells you
right.
So,
and think about how much more they know now, like to be able to name proteins, to be able to name fats and name carbs. I mean, how many of our diet instructors still struggle with that, right? But to be, a young boy or a young girl growing up and knowing this stuff, I think that's huge. I also think, Shannon, your boys are going to be husbands one day, right? And if they see their mom worried about how they look and thinking about how their value is in their weight and that number on the scale, what are we teaching them about what's important in a woman? And to me, that is So, so, so important. But you also talked about the fact that, we do this so that you can be fueled, so that you don't get like cranky and irritable. And so that, like, those are all the whys that we do this so we can get to our optimal health. That to me is so different than the mom who doesn't eat the same meal with the rest of the family, that drinks Diet Coke, that is constantly standing on the scale or looking and saying, does this make me look fat? All of those things are really important. You can just see my husband walking in. This is because life right now is all about the fact that everybody in my home is home all the time.
And I
What?
really quiet. He walked in really quiet.
Thinking he wasn't on video.
I'm surprised I haven't been interrupted.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well,
Like,
people on the podcast can't hear that, can't see that, but those of you that are live can.
About, like, even with the boys, I'm so thankful that I have had them around more. Because of that, they've had some great nutrition classes, health nutrition, because they've really, I think that has helped them wrap their head around the PFC every three, our lifestyle, just because we've had more time with them.
I totally agree. My kids, especially because when they're in school all day, it is harder to eat regularly. So we do like kind of larger meals sometimes, but when they're home, it's a lot easier. So I just feel like that concept of sustainability is so important. And this is setting the stage for the whole rest of the month. So the rest of this month, we are going to talk about ways to make this sustainable. We're going to talk about dining out. We're going to talk about how to keep this really simple, because like you said, if it's not simple and it's not satisfying, it's not going to be sustainable. So we're going to dig into being simple. We're going to talk about travel. So stay tuned for this week, because we have lots of awesome things to talk about. I can't wait to dig in with you guys more. But I do want to tell you that this week, I'm very excited. And I always say, if you stay to the end, you're going to get something special, right? So one of the things that we are so proud of is that our recipe subscription is out for the public. We have kept it under wraps for about a year and a half, where only our private members could get it. And you could only be a private member if you did our 4 weeks to wellness. And so we finally released it out. There is nothing like this on the market, because we put together recipes that are family friendly, that kids like, that are simple, because none of us are like chefs, and that are PFC balanced correctly. So you could look at any clean eating magazines and you are going to see a complete imbalance in proteins, fats, and carbs. It's unbelievable. There are very few recipes I have ever seen out there that you could use to work for a really, truly sustainable PFC balanced life. That's why these recipes are so powerful. There's nothing else like it. You don't have to think. It's all right there for you. And it is totally diverse, interesting, and yet really simple. Wouldn't you agree? I love our recipe subscription.
Oh, I love them. And actually some of them have become our family favorites.
Oh yeah, which one?
We still, well, I love myself and one of my sons love the burrito bowls, like the burrito bowl, and then love the 5-bean soup. Mm-hmm. Love the sweet potato and ground turkey chili. Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah,
this is a great.
So many.
Great year or time for that. What are some other ones?
Oh, our favorite is
chicken. We love chimichurri chicken.
Oh, that one's really good. That was from last year. Our favorite right now, our fan favorite is a lemon Mediterranean chicken. It's like the one pot. Have you tried that? One
pot rice, the lemon. That's the one Dax cooked. Remember when I had them?
Oh yeah.
That's the one of the ones he cooked. Yeah, it's yummy.
So if you're watching right now, put in. Sorry, yeah, our sound is not totally on right now, but if you're watching right now, put in the comments one of the recipes. If you are in the recipe subscription or in the membership group, one of the recipes that's your favorite. There's also a coconut lime chicken that I absolutely love. Oh my gosh, I just get really excited about them.
The bonus recipes are nice too.
The what?
The bonus recipes that are at the end. Yeah. Like for the apple crisp and things like that.
Yeah, I love that. So what I love is that this week we are offering a promotion to people. If they join the recipe subscription this week, I will send you either the 101 simple grab and go PFC meal ideas. I love those because they're not like the recipes. It is like when you're busy working all day, it's like grab, grab, grab. You don't cook. You just like, it's grab and go, like putting pieces of the puzzle together. So that's super fun. I know your boys use that a lot. My daughter uses that every single day to plan out what her meals are going to be. So 101 PFC recipes or PFC meal ideas, or you can get last month's recipes for free in addition to what you're going to get for this month's. So I love that idea because if you want more recipes, you can get a free month of recipes. If you want the 101 grab and go meal ideas to kind of complement the recipes, that's awesome. But here's the best thing. Those people that watch this episode this week, right? So this is the first full week of October, only until Sunday. If you watch this and you message me or Coach Shannon with the phrase 3 questions, because that's what we talked about today, 3 questions, you can get both. Okay. So everybody else this week is going to have the promotion of being able to pick one of the 2. But if you've watched this to the end and you subscribe to the recipe subscription this week, you can get both the 101 meals and last month's recipes. So that's kind of fun because that's like $40 free stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Great deal.
Yeah. So that's it. 3 questions is a secret code. Next week, Shannon, you and I are going to dig into dining out. One of my favorite things to do.
Fun. Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Shannon. Have an awesome rest of your Monday. And I will talk to you later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.